Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the yard full of crap. And that's kind of important for this video because I have to move all this crap.
Please subscribe.
We have had so much rain in the last few months that I've got a jungle growing behind my office. That needs to be addressed now that the rain has sort of stopped. We've got a hurricane coming in a few days. But the other issue that I'm having is I'm having problem after problem after problem with my Hustler Raptor. That's that beautiful machine over there. And it is my all-time favorite machine. I have more than one zero turn and they've been sitting for a very long time. Sold most of them as I've fixed them. I've kept one here behind the shed as a backup, and I haven't needed it in, I don't know, a year and a half. I haven't even used it. It's a Gravely. I'm going to show it to you. You've seen it on the channel before because we rebuilt the motor on it. And it's a great machine, but it just hasn't been needed. It's only a 32-inch cut, and I prefer my 50-inch cut when I'm cutting someone's yard. It cuts your time in half. I've just chosen, you know how you have more than one thing and you have your favorites? Well, time's just passed by and this thing's been sitting over here for over a year. And now that I really need to fix my Raptor, and here's why. Without going into this machine too much, it is just a rusted out piece of crap. Now, all the rust spots can be cut out, repaired, replaced. Even the front axle can be fixed. Obviously, it's going to take me some time to do it. My welder is broken, and it's time for me to get a new welder. The welder has completely taken a dump. Underneath, where the top frame attaches to the axles, is also welded and temporarily held together. So basically what I've got here is a hydro unit and a motor on a rusted out frame. So this winter, because I love this machine so much, I'm actually going to strip this thing down, remove everything from the frame, rebuild the frame, and then put it all back together because I'm not giving up my Hustler. I love this thing. But in the meantime, we need to get the other machine out, and let me show you. It's time for me to break out the Gravely. It's time for me to bring it back to life, and it's time for me to use it for the rest of the season and make sure that we're in working condition. Now, my homemade rack for my outboard motors has fallen over. I've been so overwhelmed with stuff. You see, I got machines everywhere, machines, and I just try and keep up with things, and this area has become kind of a mess. I haven't even weed eated this the last 2 times that I've come through. And all of that is being said so that I can get to my Gravely, which is sat back here covered in phlegm and crap, and it hasn't been run, and it needs to come back to life. Now you'll get a better view of it once I get it all cleaned off and get it out of here. But you can see the weeds have grown up and grown through it. Yesterday I came through here, pulled all the weeds out of the engine bay. I took the top cover off. I put some power to it, sprayed some carb spray into the intake. I lost the key, so I had to pull the wires off of my magnetos, give it direct power to the starter, and she barked just like I expected her to. She sounds great. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to clean out, oh, there's my jack stand. I didn't know it was back here. First, I'm going to get the weed eater. I'm going to clean all this out of here. I'm going to move all these machines out of the way, stand things up, move stuff so that I can get it. Because when I get this thing driving today, I'm going to have to back it out through here and take it up through there. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this stuff cleaned up right. That looks much better. At least now I've got a clean place to work. Now before I do too much, I'm hoping, because every once in a while I get a win, that I might get lucky here. You can see this thing is bone dry. I only ever use the left side tank. This has a dual tank because it's a commercial unit. This side is bone dry as well. A little bit of old yuckerness in there. Now, I never planned on putting this thing away, save for the winter or anything like that. I planned on kind of using them both. And my mistake over a year ago was just turning off the machine and parking it the last time I needed it, and I haven't touched it. So I didn't clean out the carburetor, I didn't cut off the gas, I didn't do anything to it. What I'm actually going to do real quick, just hoping for a win, fingers crossed, thinking it's about a 5% chance, I'm going to go ahead and put some fuel in the left tank. I'm going to give this thing a start and see if she'll run under her own power, but I'm guessing I'm going to have to at least pull that carburetor. Real quick, let me get a wire to go from the battery to the starting solenoid so I can kick it. And I've already pulled the wires off of my magnetos so that it will get spark without the key, because I don't have a key. I can't find the key. I'm gonna have to order a new key, but that's the least of my problems. If this thing does start and run, I can always reach down here, grab said wires, plug them onto the magneto just to kill each side, and that's how I plan on turning it off. Now all I have here is a wire. One side is longer than the other, so I can wrap around and kind of twist it on itself. I'm going to put that on the battery on the positive side. Now be mindful that you're going to have power. Coming from the other side to whatever you touch that's grounded. I am going to hit this a couple of times. Remember, this thing has been empty a long time. It's going to take time to get fuel into the carburetor before it'll even think about starting. And I know my solenoid's still good, because all I'm doing is touching the power side of the solenoid to make it trip and make the connection. I smell a little bit of old fuel. And at least we'll get her to bark before I pull that carburetor off just to clean it. And there you go. We know she'll run. But that carb is most likely all gummed up, and I knew that was going to be the case. Let's do it one more again. And she's going to run. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull off the carburetor. I'm just going to take this wire and kind of put it somewhere so it doesn't make a ground connection and cause me an issue, but so I also don't have to take it off. I'm going to go ahead and pull this carburetor. In order to get to it, you're not really going to be able to see it, and this isn't really a how-to, it's more of a what I'm doing. So let me get this thing off and get it cleaned out and see if we can get her running. We definitely are pumping fuel. It doesn't smell the greatest, but that's okay. It didn't have a choice, did it? And if you bend a linkage, whatever, you can always kind of bend it back. Make sure you take the spring off, and then usually you just give them a twist once you kind of see where they go. This one went in the front. Oh, and I've still got a ground wire here. Yeah, this carb does not smell nice. And again, that's my fault. I did not sort of winterize this thing or do anything with it. I just kind of parked it and left it for a very long time. I always put my screws back, my bolts back, my nuts back, wherever I got them off of, so that I don't lose them. This is a ground, by the way. And so that I always remember where they went. Now the one thing I do need to check is if this fuel cutoff solenoid is working. I'm going to go ahead and touch this to the power. It's working. I had to ground the body to the body of the machine. So I just touched it to the frame of the seat and then put power to it, and I could hear it clicking in and out. So I know we're good there. I'm just going to go ahead and take this to the bench, get it cleaned up, see how bad it is on the inside. I'm not going to worry too much about replacing the gaskets at the moment. We're just going to get it cleaned out, put it back on, and then if we're in good shape, when I change the engine oil and do a few other things to it, I'll worry about whether it's got new gaskets or not. Okay, how come you guys were just sitting there, not screaming through your phones or your TVs, telling me what the hell I was doing wrong? It just occurred to me when I pulled this carburetor apart that aside from a little gas smell, everything was pretty clean and clear. I love these Mikuni carbs, and I'm pretty sure I used non-ethanol gas in this machine because it was cheap, which is not normal. But while I was testing to make sure that the fuel solenoid cutoff switch was working when I put power to it and ground it to the machine, what I forgot was if you don't have a key to turn it on, power never makes it to that fuel cutoff solenoid. So even though I was spinning the motor, even though I knew it had spark, the carburetor couldn't fill up with any fuel because the stupid solenoid wouldn't open up. So I tickled through the carb, cleaned it up. It wasn't bad at all. I threw it back on the machine temporarily. I didn't even put the plastic covers and stuff back on. I literally just put the carb back on with the linkages and the ground wire that was on it. Here's the wire that I ran to the bottom of the solenoid that's kind of running up the side and running to the power unit so I can open that solenoid when I go to start it. The other wire's laying in. Here it is. This is the normal wire to that solenoid, but it doesn't do me any good when there's no power because I can't turn the key. So I've got that wired permanently to the battery to open that solenoid. Let's go ahead and it's going to take a minute to fill up that carb again, to fill it up at all. But let's see if she'll start now under her own power. Messing with the throttle. I need to give it a chance to warm up, clean out anything that's in the carb that's left from that quick tickle. Well, that doesn't make me too happy. I mean, it makes me happy. Obviously, I was just dancing. But I only used the cutoff on one magneto. The other one's not even connected, and it died. So I'm wondering if right now it's only running on one cylinder for some reason. but I guess we'll have to check that out in a few minutes. What I'm gonna do now is back this thing the hell out of here, take it out where I can get to it better, and we'll find out if it's not firing on one cylinder, because it just stopped when I hit one cylinder. We got lots of stuff going on here. This is the one that I rebuilt the motor on like 2 years ago. But yeah, let me get this thing fired up, and let me see if I can get it out of here. I don't want to rip my wire off. Boy, she sounds good, don't she? All right, it's definitely got a lack of power. But again, that could be a lot of things. It could be a dirty carburetor still. It could be the fact that it's just been sitting for a while. Now this time I did take the kill wire to this side, and I felt it lose RPM and kill one side, leaving only one. So what I'm gonna do is let this thing run for about 15 minutes. I've got to check the hydro fuel or the hydro fluid, which is usually really thick motor oil. It could be low. I can see it. It looks like it's within tolerance. So what I'm gonna do now, off camera, is go ahead and put my plastic cover back on. Make sure that everything here is done. I'm gonna leave these wires and I'm gonna let this thing run for about 15 minutes. You know what I should do before I do anything else is check for spark on both sides. Well, that's hot, and that's hot. So I would say we have spark on both sides, knowing that I was able to kill one side of the motor with this kill switch and then the other. And since we're hot on both sides, we're good. I'm gonna check the oil because I haven't checked the oil in a very long time. Okay, I let it run for about 10 minutes. You don't want to let it run too long when the top cowling is not on. This is an air-cooled machine as much as it is oil-cooled. And the cowling directs the air coming off of that white fan down across the body of the engine. And you don't want it to overheat. So there's not much else I can do until I either find my key or order a new key. So that's where you guys will come back in before this video is over. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the carb plate back on. I'm going to put the top cowling back on. I'm going to put all that stuff back on. And as soon as the key gets here, I'll be able to start it with the key as usual. I'll hook my wire back up to my solenoid at the bottom. And this thing is running so smooth. I've always loved this machine. I'm not a Kawasaki fan, but this thing has always been smooth. So once I get all that on, I'll let her run again for another 20 minutes or so. Clean out any leftover gobbity-goobs that may be up inside the carburetor without having to soak it or run it through an ultrasonic cleaner. And as soon as I get a key, we're good. Now, I did try to turn on the blades. Of course, without the key turned on, there's no power going to the PTO switch, so they're not going to come on, and I'm not going to bother trying to jump a line to make sure that it's working. I'm sure it's in working condition. It worked just fine, never gave me a problem before. So as soon as I get a key, I'll be back to finish this video. Okay, well, since it's been a few days and I've got a new microphone so I can walk away from the camera and you can hear me, I hope. We're going to find out. I did order a new key for this thing, and I've thus used it to move my office and a whole bunch of other stuff. I cut 2 lawns with it today. We're back in turnkey position. And I just wanted to show you that everything's back in working condition. I do have a flat left front tire that I need to get a new tube for. So it kind of leaves little strips in the grass because it's uneven when it cuts. But that's all that needs to be done now. I did have to pull that carburetor back apart and clean it. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? How you doing, huh? You coming out to say hi? All right, go on. But other than that, I did catch a lack of power. I cut the grass with it once, and it started having loss of power. So I pulled the carburetor again, cleaned it. It did have a bunch of sediment in it, stuff that had been in the tanks, I suppose. And I haven't had any issues with it since. The key was like $7, no problem. So we're back to turnkey position, turnkey condition. Tomorrow's video is on solar panels on top of CAT and how to install them. I've been using the crap out of it again, and sooner or later this winter I'm going to get to my old Raptor and make her fresh and clean again, which is awesome. But I love this little Gravely, and it didn't take much at all to bring it back to life. She's running like a top. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hit the like button. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls, and I'll see you soon.